Hey everyone, you're listening to Ankur Variku on Voice with Variku. On this podcast, I talk to you about entrepreneurship, how to grow in life, manage personal finances, handle failures, and a lot more things that just come to my mind. The episode begins. Go back to your college days. Imagine the time of the placements. And imagine two scenarios. So, scenario one is where you have given multiple interviews, but you haven't cleared anyone as yet. And you have this one last interview scheduled tomorrow. And you're feeling some pressure. So let's call this pressure one or P1. And then there is scenario two, where you've given multiple interviews and haven't cleared anyone yet. However, anticipating that you may run into this problem, you reached out to a friend for a referral in the company she works for. And you went through this process off campus. So not part of the process, but off the process. And you've actually got an offer from them. It's not really a place that you fancy yourself working at, but what the heck? Also, you have one last interview scheduled tomorrow as part of the college placements. So you haven't got any offers so far or cracked any interviews so far, but there is one interview that's left. And of course, you're feeling some pressure towards that interview as well. Let's call it pressure 2 or P2. Now, my question to you is, which is higher? Pressure 1, where you don't have any offer and you have an interview tomorrow, or pressure 2, where you have an offer, not the best offer, but an offer, and you have an interview tomorrow. And I'd argue that pressure 1 is greater than pressure 2. But it's not like by a lot. It's just slightly higher. And we all agree to that? Great. Now let's imagine you go into the final interview and you perform to the best of your ability. And let's call these performances P3 and P4. P3 for interview 1 and P4 for interview 2. My question to you now is, which do you think is higher? Your performance in the first scenario, where you have no offer and this is the last interview scheduled for you, or your performance in the second interview where you have an offer, not the best offer, but you have one, and you're sitting for one final interview. And I'll argue that your performance in the second interview is better than the first one. In fact, I would say that it is not just better, it's quite better. So your performance in the first interview is much, much lower than your performance in the second interview. Now imagine you've cleared both the interviews. Yay! And you join an organization. But you know what? You're not happy. In both the scenarios, you're not happy. The work is not exciting. The pay is not exciting. And let's assume that it's equal pay for both the jobs. The growth is not there. And you feel pain. Like every day, showing up at work is a pain. And let's call this pain 1 or pain 2. My question to you is, which is higher? Is pain 1 higher, where you got a job, which was the only interview you cleared in the entire process? Or pain 2 is higher, where you cleared an interview, you also had some other job, but you chose this one? And I'd argue that pain 1 is greater than pain 2. The pain that you feel in the first job will be higher than the pain you feel in the second, because you feel more stuck in the first scenario. You feel that you did not have a choice. You had to take that job up without your wish. In fact, I'll argue it's not just higher, it's much, much higher. So pain 1 is greater than pain 2. You see what happened here? The pressure in the first scenario was marginally higher than the second one, which resulted in performance that was much lower than the second scenario, which resulted in a pain that was much, much higher than the second scenario. And the only difference, in scenario 2, you had an option. That is what life is about. In life, if you feel stuck, you will be far more miserable for the exact same conditions than if you have options. It is true, not just for work. It's true for relationships. It's true for money. It's true for work. It's true for life. So spend time creating options. You're not stuck. Even if the option you create is only marginally better, it will compound subconsciously to make you feel more powerful eventually. The worst enemy in your life is the person who convinces you that you do not have any other choice, that you do not have options, that you are stuck. And often, that person is you yourself. Change that. Thank you for listening to this episode of Voice with Variku. To be notified of upcoming episodes, be sure to subscribe and follow the show on this app right now. Also, don't forget to rate and review the show because that just feels nice. Thank you.